Episode 12 Whispers on the Wind. The instant Plering and Anjali stepped through the decaying archway into the inner court, the atmosphere shifted completely. The chirping sounds of the outside world vanished at once. The air grew still and cold, as if they had entered a twilight realm where time had stopped. This was a world of women, a world filled with beauty, secrets, and a sorrow so thick it clung to the air like a faint mist. The once magnificent gardens were now overgrown with creeping vines and pale white wildflowers that seemed to glow in the dusk. Lakeside pavilions had collapsed, leaving only a few pillars standing. The stone-paved walkways were fractured, lined periodically with statues of dancing court ladies, their heads long since lost to time. Every footstep felt like it was treading upon shattered memories. "This place," Plering whispered. He felt no murderous intent or malicious spirit like before, but rather an overwhelming sorrow that pressed down on him, making it difficult to breathe. And then they heard it. Whispers carried on the wind, the rustle of silk, the faint sound of giggling laced with sadness, and a snatch of a broken melody. Translucent figures of women in ancient tied dress began to appear corners of corridors and in the shadows of the trees. They weren't threatening. They simply stood and stared at the two intruders with empty, yearning eyes. The spirits of the loyal ladies-in-waiting. When Plering and Anjali reached the entrance to the central pavilion, likely where the hairpin was kept, the spirits materialized to block their path. They did not attack, but Plering felt an invisible wall of energy. It wasn't destructive power, but the crushing weight of sorrow and longing so heavy it made his legs feel like lead. The spirit knife in his hand felt cold and meaningless against this kind of power. "Make way!" Plering yelled, acting on a warrior's instinct. He gathered the power from his artifacts, intending to force his way through. But the instant he showed the spirit of combat and the desire to take, the spirits reacted violently. The whispers turned into mournful wails of agony. The psychic pressure intensified tenfold. The feelings of loss, of undying loyalty, and of their duty to guard their mistress's treasure crashed into Plering's mind like a tidal wave. His own fire of vengeance felt coarse and alien in this place. He collapsed to his knees, defeated by sorrow. "Enough, Plering," Anjali cried out, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Your fire has no place here. Allow me." She stepped in front of him and did something he never expected. She slowly sank to the ground, performing a graceful, respectful kowtow to the spirits before her. "Forgive our intrusion, esteemed ladies. We have not come to steal or destroy, but to borrow the grace of the noble treasure to protect the land from a great evil." And then she began to hum, the same ancient, hauntingly familiar lullaby. The melody, sorrowful yet full of compassion, resonated through the courtyard. The wailing of the spirits subsided. They turned as one to look at Anjali, the hostility in their gaze fading, replaced by a sad recognition. The song was a key, a link to the past they clung to. The wall of sorrow dissolved. The translucent spirits slowly bowed their heads slightly, as if in reverence, before parting to form a path. They were granting passage to Anjali. Plering watched in stunned silence. He, with his 3 powerful artifacts, had been defeated. But the young woman beside him had pacified these ancient spirits with nothing but a song and an understanding heart. He was beginning to realize there were powers in the world he didn't understand, and Anjali wielded one effortlessly. Now they stood before the ruined doorway of the long-dead queen's royal bedchamber. The path was clear, but the mystery of Anjali's identity had deepened in Plorung's mind, almost to a breaking point.